Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Naita, and in this video abstract I would like to present our recent paper which focuses on identifying linguistic markers of CEO hubris and does it by applying machine learning approach. I've written this paper with two co-authors, Professor Peter Gerard on the left from St. George's University London and Professor Eugene Sadler-Smith on the right from University of Surrey. Before I go into explaining exactly what we did in this paper, I would like to address the first question, which is what is hubris? Hubris nowadays in research is understood as an excessive confidence, often is seen as a dark side trait and overall results in overestimation on one's abilities. In this particular paper, we looked at how we could identify leader hubris, and we did that using machine learning approach. Most of you probably have heard the term machine learning. Machine learning was born, or the term was born, in 1959, and it is described, so this term describes enabling computer program to automatically recognize a large set of data using artificial intelligence. So using particular algorithms, and we allow these algorithms to work on particular data set and to provide us with some insights about that data set. Machine learning has been used in a variety of areas, for example, to classify unseen texts, to identify who is the author, to predict Big Five personality traits, medical illnesses, and so on. Therefore, we decided to attempt to implement machine learning to identify whether an individual, a CEO, is developing hubris as well. Overall, the main underlying flow and logic of this paper is that some personality aspects are seen and are reflected in one's language, which means that hubris, which also could be reflected in language, is also be reflected likely in certain linguistic tone, grammatic characters, syntax, and so on, produced by hubristic people or people who are acquiring hubris. So therefore, assuming this approach, we chose Weka, a machine learning algorithm set designed by Waikato University, as our tool of choice. We chose Weka for several reasons. First of all, it's free, it's open access, and it has a variety of algorithms. It's suitable for people with or without machine learning development skills, and has been used in a variety of similar research, which also helps to understand how the algorithms work. Basic working principle of Weka is that, first of all, we have to have an input dataset. So a dataset that we want to analyze. And this dataset has to be classified. So for example, in the case of our particular research, we had two samples, hubristic CEOs and non-hubristic CEOs. And we gave the algorithm both text samples. And the algorithm then worked, trying to learn what is different and what are the attributes based on which we can classify new texts. So this algorithm that I just mentioned is called the model, which helps to classify any new example, new text that you're giving them. And in order to do that, we need to know what are the attributes. So attributes can be particular words, word compounds, grammatical structures in our case, or anything along these lines. So once we know how the Weka works, what we did, we implemented the following 5 steps. I'm going to briefly mention these steps, however further detail I provided in the paper. So first of all, of course, we need data. So we used any data that we could find and extract from public domains. It had to be a spoken data, for example, interviews produced by SEND CEOs for the sample of our hubristic CEOs. And the same was applied for a non-hubristic sample. Attributes were selected based on previous research in this field that used different methods to identify hubristic speech. And once we knew the attributes and we had the data, we could build the classifier. So Weka is very helpful because it provides a range of classifiers for you to use, and in this particular research we used 5 and compared the prediction accuracy for it. We also worked on refining attributes, so Weka was learning in terms of the differences between texts, and we can, as a researchers, as a people who are responsible for this algorithm, we can help the algorithm to learn. So in our particular research, the top attributes or categories that distinguished between these two groups were as follows: total count of pronouns, impersonal pronouns, auxiliary verbs, common verbs, and a tentative tone. More on the interpretation of results is in a paper. So you can see the main results in terms of prediction accuracy on a screen. So first of all, we did prediction accuracy results using tenfold validation. Then we applied training versus testing split, which you can see on the screen. And finally, we did apply various customizations. So for example, you can reduce the attribute list and see which classifier performs best. As I mentioned, we applied 5 different classifiers that are listed below. And here you can see the performance, which was on average from 72 to 85. So why machine learning is a good and useful tool to use in any of the social sciences, psychology, leadership, or any other studies? Well, at least in our case, it's an innovative case to approach the topic, and it's really flexible because it can be used for different topics and in a very different ways. There's lots of freedom to customize the algorithms and to build the algorithms and models based on what your research needs. The data in this case can be explored directly without the judgment that researcher might bring, so without bias, which helps to increase accuracy, produce more generalizable results, and of course increase efficiency of our research project. Here was the summary of our paper. Thank you very much for watching this video, and at the bottom you can see the full reference to this particular paper. Thank you for watching.